Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 4th of July, 2017. What's happening out in the world of the tropics this afternoon? Well, in the Atlantic Basin, we do have Invest Area 94L, and you can see down here, it's located in the central Atlantic. If we mouse over the area of red, it shows us 70% chance of development into a depression or a storm over the next 48 hours. 80% chance of development over the next 5 days. And if we take a look at a satellite animation this afternoon, you can see it's still pretty broad overall. If I can get this to go for me. There we are. Still pretty broad overall. It's not really bundling the energy. Any thunderstorms that are popping up are trying to sort of ingest this drier Saharan air to the north that's really enveloping the overall situation and surrounding it with this drier, stable air. And you can really see that stable air mass just by looking at these clouds through here, these stratocumulus clouds indicating basically a cap on the atmosphere. Warmer, drier, more stable air, even some dust in there at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, not allowing for deep convection to develop and flourish, and that is holding back 94L from really starting to take off. But it is a pretty big bundle of energy and heat out there over the deep tropics, and it does have a decent shot of development. In the meantime, in the eastern Pacific, several areas to watch over the next few days, but this one is the one that's designated as an invest right now, or an area of further investigation, as we call it, and it's labeled 94E. And the Pacific and the Atlantic, and indeed all around the globe, the different agencies that monitor these developing cyclones use these numbers 90 through 99, and the letter L for Atlantic, E for Eastern Pacific, W for Western Pacific as examples. And so this one is 94E, and if we look at a satellite animation of it looks like it's definitely struggling a little bit as well. Kind of resembles a struggling Atlantic system that we've seen over the last few years, if you remember. But this is the Eastern Pacific. In fact, there's the west coast of Mexico right there, and this really doesn't look like it's trying to do all that much. Might become a tropical storm over the East Pac as it moves on off to the west with time. And as these do so, all of these are generally heading in the same direction. As I'm going to show you in a moment, water temperatures out here are colder than normal, so probably not going to see much activity with these systems over the next few days. Looking at the GFS, this is the model from the United States, the Global Forecast System, and this is at the 850 millibar level of the atmosphere, or about 5,000 feet up. And this shows us the vorticity, or the spin, and the energy in the atmosphere. And you can see that 94L is really stretched out down here. This is the east coast of the U.S. over here on the left-hand side, the west coast of Africa over here. And I'm going to highlight this in yellow. This is the area to watch. And watch what happens as I put this into motion over the next 5 days. The vorticity signature consolidates a little bit, might become a tropical storm, but it's going to be fairly weak. You notice that it does not come towards the Lesser Antilles or the Windward or Leeward Islands down in the Eastern Caribbean. And in fact, by the end of the forecast period, at day 5, as it gets over here into the southwest Atlantic, it starts to weaken again. Upper level winds probably not too favorable, and the GFS accordingly doesn't do much with it. There's the Lesser Antilles, and again this stays pretty much away from there over the next 120 hours. So that would be great news for them, obviously. But it's interesting, though, if this does become a tropical storm, especially sometime within the next 72 hours out here in the deep tropics, that would still be pretty unusual for July. And in fact, if we look here at 48 hours or so, and we'll just move this along, it's got a decent chance of doing so. You can see it located right in here. A small system nonetheless, but for that to happen would be really unusual. And you can see even another system trying to come off after that. So I think things are going to be busy going forward, and this is part of the reason why. The updated sea surface temperature anomalies chart, very warm in the Atlantic main development region, no signs of El Nino out here in the Pacific, and everything is generally configured to support quite a busy season ahead. And here's that cold water relative to average that I was talking about off the coast of Mexico, And our area of interest here, 94E, is located right there, and the water temperatures around it are colder than normal, and that's creating a more stable atmosphere and probably not going to allow that system to develop very much. If we look at what happened this time 4 years ago, what a difference. This is 2013. If we go back to just now and you compare that to 2013, that was a season that was forecast to be very busy early on, but then we really didn't have much activity at all. It was considered one of the worst forecasting busts in tropical cyclone seasonal forecasting history. And this is a big reason why. This very cold area relative to average that formed, and you can see we're at the same time period, roughly the 4th of July 2013 versus almost the same date 4 years later. Quite a difference in the way things are aligned, and I think that's going to equal a very busy season ahead. And in fact, the Tropical Storm Risk Group, they are based out of London, a group of scientists and researchers there, and they have increased their activity prediction from their late May update. This was updated just today, and they're looking at, generally, if I scroll down here, the ACE index, the accumulated cyclone energy, being about 116. Think of that as the number of points that a team would score in a basketball game, so to speak. And so they're looking at a score of 116 for this year, and the 10-year average is 99, so that's a little bit above average. But the storms and hurricanes are what everybody wants to know about, I guess, and they're predicting 3 major hurricanes or intense hurricanes, Category 3 or higher, a total of 7 hurricanes in all, and out of those 7, 3 would become those major hurricanes that we talked about, and then a total of 17 named storms. We've already had 3. Arlene formed several months ago, way out of season, and then we had Brett and Cindy back in June, and so we would have 14 more named storms to go, and that in and of itself, you think about it, between now and the end of November would be a fairly busy season. So interesting times ahead. Tomorrow, Colorado State University, Phil Klotzbach, Dr. Phil Klotzbach, issuing his update from him and his team, and we'll take a look at that tomorrow as well. Have a great rest of your 4th of July. I do appreciate you tuning in, and remember, you get all kinds of cool tools in Hurricane Pro and HD to keep track of these areas of interest. So if you're bored and you're waiting for the fireworks to start, check those out, because they're there for you. Again, have a great rest of your 4th. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. That's my site. And for Hurricane Pro and HD, I'll talk to you some more tomorrow.